Hello everyone. So today we will talk about our solution document processing and how that can be applied for the invoice processing use cases. So Innominds Doc Processor is a solution offering which we provide, which can be used to process invoices, receipts, handwritten notes, and agreements. So invoices typically can be any financial invoice, receipts can be any receipts which is received on any purchase, handwritten notes, especially in the field of medicine, prescriptions, so the data can be retrieved, as well as any legal agreements where we need to retrieve and validate certain data. So this solution can be applied to all these use cases. Today we will in specific see about how we can use this solution and build an invoice processing processor. So typically when we have an invoice, the invoices come in from different data sources. Either an invoice can be received from an email, an SFTP, a portal. It can be uploaded to a portal, or it can be given through an API, a mobile application, or through a fax. So the invoices can be collected from all these data sources, and the invoice can be a PDF, a document, a JPEG, a PNG, an XLS file, or a CSV file. So we take all the invoices from these data sources in these formats, and it can be a real-time processing where processing can be done as the invoice is received, or they can be taken in a batch and then processed. So once the invoice is received, the documents are first separated, classified before they are processed. First they are checked whether it is an invoice in the first place and it is in the required format before it is sent to processing. And then once the invoice is ready to be processed, we use pattern recognition, machine learning, and image analytics to extract the data out of the invoice. So the data can be invoice date, invoice time, invoice amount, what is it we are invoicing. So there are different fields which can be extracted out of an invoice. And then we even detect an anomaly or questionable data which is coming through. Let's take a use case of like you're processing invoice in a system where all the invoices are in the range of $100-$200. Suddenly you get an invoice where the amount is $10,000. So now that is an anomaly. So when invoices are being processed, we even check for anomalies and then we flag them so that they can go through a manual review before it is processed. And once the invoices are processed and the data is extracted, the output can be exported to either a JSON, an XML, or it can be stored in a database, or it can be sent through an API if we want to import it into any third-party system. Apart from the processing in invoice, we give out two portals. One is an admin portal where we have some predefined libraries for the invoices defined. The same, we have some predefined libraries for receipts, handwritten notes, medical prescriptions, where when we are training this processor, we can go take the template of the invoice, then map it to the libraries which we already have in the system. Then we can configure the system. Then the system also supports retraining of new formats. So we first set up the processor to work with a certain format of invoice. Next time the format changes. So using the admin portal, the new format can be uploaded and configured and retrained. Then The admin portal can also be used to configure the batch jobs where there is a bulk of invoices to be processed. So the jobs and when the invoices should be processed can be set up over here. For the second portal, what we give is the analytics portal. So now the invoices are processed. We want to see what has been processed. So the analytics portal will give you the number of invoices processed, the number of invoices not processed and failed, why they have failed. Then the third one is a number of invoices processed per customer. So you can always go and drill down to see per customer how many invoices were processed. And then you can always see the anomalies which were detected in these invoices. Then you can even have a chart where you can give a prediction of the number of invoices which you will be receiving based on the invoices received. Then we have certain vendor analytics where, especially in the field of invoices, when the invoices are coming on different products from different vendors. So we do a cost difference between two products coming from two different vendors. Then we have a document classification where we classify the invoices by vendor, by product, where you can go ahead and see a view of different invoices. So basically this is our invoice processor solution which we offer, which can be applied to any use case where we need to cut down the manual process of processing the invoice. So now let's quickly look at like one of the examples. Like typically this is an invoice where you have all this data. So what we do is once we receive an invoice in this format, let's say we take it from an SFTP or folder location, we process the invoice. First, we check if this document is an invoice, and only if it is an invoice, it is passed to the next step. Next step is the identity and extracting the data. So if you see, we extract the data which is configured from an invoice, like the name of the vendor, the invoice number, the due date, the total amount. So all this data is extracted. The data is being stored into a database. So typically, like in a simple step, this is how an invoice processing is done. Thank you.